You work in the midday sun, work until your day has gone.
It's difficult having a project like this in central London.
No, I think the beauty of having it in central London is it's the best place you could possibly have it ever. It's right in the heart of it, isn't it? And this is exactly where people can come and physically see it.
What do you think that people have in common who live here?
I think the main thing we all have in common here is that we're all here because we know that whatever is happening out there is clearly not working. It's so irrational and insane at this point that it's just not working.
Does having so many people living in a small space generate friction, tensions?
It can do, yeah. I've had no problems whatsoever. I haven't been in a fight since I was 6, and that was because a kid didn't like Sonic and I really liked it.
Do you think some people who live like this are maybe lost, or they've not found, they're trying to find their way?
Yeah, a lot of people here are. Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people here they are those people who've been through horrific experiences or had horrendous abuse, or like me, they just thought work was really silly in that context. So yeah, it's the full spectrum. It's all in there.
How do you deal with conflicts in a situation like this when everybody lives together?
When people are annoyed at anything or they feel a need to attack, it's all down to egotism. And you just accept the fact that that's their path for the time being. You see it as a volcano getting filled up with lava and it's about to blow, and then when it blows, you let go of it then. So you just accept the fact that that's their path for the time being. They feel that they need to get angry at this point until the day comes when the top blows off. So yeah.
What is it that you like about this place?
The fact that it gives me not a full trapdoor out of the money system, but it gives me some sort of escape from it, where I don't have to worry about that too much. I don't have to be dragged into the insanity of it, and it also allows me to do what I want to do, which is be a good example in the world of how we're meant to live, civilised and growing our own food and hugging people when you're waking up instead of rushing out and oh shit, I've got to get to this and do. It's great. It gives you that little leeway.
So are you trying to live your life completely outside the monetary system?
That's the goal, but I spent maybe three years trying to work out how it's physically possible, and I don't think it is. Everything to some extent is now tainted by money, from the resource being taken out of the ground to it being produced and distributed. That's what I'd love to do. This, like I said, it's a vague trapdoor. It's not full, but this is as far as I can get out of it as possible.
So do you try and live without money as much as possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. That must make your life difficult though, right?
To some extent. It's only really transport nowadays. As for in terms of material needs and things like that, no, not necessarily. Most of the food's now ready to go for summer. So if we want something, we can now go and pick it. And then at the end of the day, I do free street food restaurants for an organisation I founded called the Oomun Group. And we get the waste food from supermarkets, cook it and give it to people. So if we've got a bit of orzo or gnocchi or some nice specially shaped pastas left over, we can cook that up and serve it with it.
When did you first decide you wanted to try and live without money?
I think it's been an inkling I've had since I was a child, where I was in the classroom and I kind of have this feeling of this is really weird, there's something odd about this. And as I grew into a teenager, I started questioning why I was even at school. That didn't make any sense to me either. It felt like a kind of regimented conditioning, I didn't really get it at all. And then I left and started working and spent 10 years just working solid, going from job to job to job. And I think that I was questioning it the whole time, thinking this is absolutely crazy. All I need is food, shelter, love, a positive environment to grow in, something recreational. What the hell is all this about? What's this? What am I after here? Some digits with a nice lady in a hat on going like that. And it didn't make any sense to me. And then I actually started looking into the effects of money, and that's when it really hit me. When you start looking at malnutrition, starvation, over-egotism, segregation, the irrationality of it, the way we do things. Use hemp plastic. There's no reason to use these oil-based things anymore, really.
Does living like that mean that you see yourself as living outside of like larger society or mainstream society?
Culturally, yeah. But no, not necessarily. I've been gardening today, I'll go out tonight and play at a bar, play music. So no, not necessarily. Not fully. It just means I don't wake up in the morning, rush off to a job and so forth, and then go to McDonald's for lunch. This is still just a microcosm of society itself, really, because we still have people coming in who they're drunk and they've got jobs and people have got this and that to do, so it gets dragged in. We're not completely outside of society at all, no. We're just right in the heart of it, which is why I came to London, because I thought, well, that's the very centre of Babylon, I'll just go down there and do it.
What is it about living and working in as normal people do that you don't like?
I worked for, yeah, like I said, like almost a decade, just non-stop. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to work like normal. I like the normal people, in inverted commas. They can't see that. The thing I probably dislike the most about the concept of a 9-to-5 job is it's probably the it's the constant nature of it. And it's the fact you've got to get up, you've got to rush to work, you've then got to do a job which is probably obsolete. It's degrading as well, I think, is the big factor for me. It's the fact that you know you're fully in support of something which is also helping starvation to occur, which might sound crazy if you've never heard that before, but of course it is. If you're part of that system, you're therefore advocating it. It's the idea of if you don't condone something, don't be part of it, because you'll only strengthen it and enforce it. And I think when you're doing a 9-to-5 job like that, especially if it's something that's not really helping the planet, like working for BP, cheers BP, then you're not helping the world. You're making it a much worse place, much worse. And you're conditioning yourself with that, and then you might give it to the next generation, and so forth and so forth. It's not necessarily working like normal people, it's just everything that goes with it.
I see in the planet nobody care, and then we are killing the planet. Yeah, let's put poisons everywhere and kill the planet and the people. Very weird energy to me.
I think that it's to some extent forced labour. I didn't like that aspect of it at all. That seems utterly uncivilised. The same with law. It's essentially, you guys can't behave, so we're gonna, and I didn't like that idea. I kind of came here to see if there's alternatives. I already had ideas in my head.
Do you think that there's a vision or like an overall concept behind this particular project?
Yeah, there is a vision for this project. Grow all our own food, we make all our own electricity, we have our own running water that's cleaned and recycled.
How close is it to achieving that vision, do you think?
Oh, this is just the beginning. This is the first few months of me being here have been the political bits and bobs and the self-governing.
What are the main challenges that you have to overcome to try and move towards that goal?
Like I said, there's a microcosm. The macrocosm of it is the same problem, isn't it? People recognising that we're all on a big rock in space that's been flying around a big sun, and we're all here together, and we're just here for no apparent reason in this bizarre form called human that we call it. And once you've got that and you recognise that we're all in this together, do things out of love, because it just makes everything better. And we're trying to instill that into people. Once you've got that, you wake up and work and do it ego-free.
Well, tell me about how is there an organisational structure here?
There is a vague organisational structure here, yeah. We've tried loads of different things during meetings where we've tried rotas. We're now currently trying these 2 groups ideas where there's people who live at the back and the front. We'll have 2 groups and they communicate within each group, and each one's assigned a task and so forth. And that's cool, and that might work. But personal belief, as I keep putting forward in every meeting, self-government, just get up and just do what you love doing and give it to the place and make it better.
What do you think about people who say that squatting is parasitic on society because they're taking electricity or taking land from people who own it? What do you think about that opinion?
I mean, I don't like the idea of stealing electric, but at the same time I don't really like the idea of having a government that allows people to starve to death. So.
Do you ever have problems with security, with crime, and with people from the local area or people who come in?
We've had 1 or 2 incidents which have been a bit dodgy with security. We just had a bunch of drunk people who came in. They're really high on crack cocaine, and they stole some computers and clothing and bits and bobs like that.
You get a lot of problems with drugs and drink in places like this?
Not hard drugs necessarily. If someone comes in, they say, I find it really bizarre, we've had a few people who've come in on heroin and crack, and they've been really open about it, where they've said, look, I'm a drug addict, I really want to come here and work here because I'm a neurosurgeon. They'll make something up, and it sounds really impressive at first. Like, wow, this guy's a neurosurgeon on heroin. That's like on top of being a neurosurgeon. It's quite impressive. But no, we don't. We have people who, when they first came here, they may have had issues with alcohol, and I don't want to say issues with marijuana. I used to smoke a lot of marijuana. I don't really think it's that bad a drug. I think people just forget to stop doing it once it's done what it needs to do.
Do you do paid work yourself, or do you voluntary work only?
I'm getting to the point now where all I do is voluntary work, yeah. So I'm a free guitar tutor. So no, I do a tiny bit of paid work. I do 1 or 2 days a week as a gardener, and that's that. But I want to stop that within the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and do everything voluntary.
Okay, another question. How do you feel about the future of the potential of projects like this to create change in wider society?
I feel there's a huge potential to change wider society, definitely. Huge potential. The amount of people who walk past the gate, when they go, can I come in and have a look around? You say, yeah, absolutely. And as soon as you start talking to them about what the project's about, what you're trying to do here, they go from, oh, to, ah, very nice.
So, yeah. Another last one.
Please.
What do you think you've learned from living here?
I've learned so much from living here, it's ridiculous. I came here with the viewpoint that the way to change society at this point is some sort of balance between meditation to get rid of the ego or at least to become aware of it, so that you do things in the knowledge that everything is within you and in every single person. But this phenomenal, vast technology we now have the ability to use, things like maglev, 3D printing, so we could 3D print houses, automated technology, so robots who can do surgery and do all these jobs that are completely obsolete as far as I'm concerned now, to thinking maybe this is kind of a cool way of living. This works, where you are literally just tending to your basic human needs and ensuring that everyone else has them as well. And you work the land every morning, get food, and it was something I was actually kind of against before I came here. I didn't really like the concept of it. I thought it was too old-fashioned and gave a bad impression to what essentially a social engineer or politician would want to do. What you're trying to create a vision of this is what we can actually potentially do with the future. And I still advocate automation. I hugely advocate technology, as long as the fundamental basis, the foundation is love. If you haven't got that knowledge of love, it's pointless.
What do you think the future is for this particular place?
The future for this particular place is all over the shop at the moment. We're not sure whether the council want to buy us out, essentially. We've just had this Japanese knotweed everywhere, which you'll have documented, and that's just been poisoned, so that will have gone soon. And the gist for us was to then utilise that space and start growing food absolutely everywhere. What I'd like to see here is us doing what we came here to do, which is to be as a true presentation of civility, a true representation of what civility is meant to be, where you do everything out of logic and love.